What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. You find me this morning at around 5:45. I'm headed up to LA. I've got some meetings and some friends to see up there throughout the course of the day. So I figured, why not use this as an opportunity to take the 911, show you guys what it's like to use that for a 200 plus mile day, and also show you guys some of the benefits of living in Southern California as a car enthusiast. So we're starting things off. We're headed up to Malibu. We're gonna drive around some canyons for a little bit, and then we'll grab some coffee, maybe some food, and then we will see what our friends are up to. But I think a lot of people wonder, when using these older cars on a more day-to-day basis, how they get comfortable with sacrifices in technology and not being able to have Bluetooth and Apple CarPlay. Porsche does offer a system called PCCM Plus that you can put a screen that looks pretty OEM into your car, and it gives you Apple CarPlay, it gives you Bluetooth functionality, and it's great. A lot of people love it, but it does cost $1,500. There are other options on the aftermarket that you can buy that are third party. I personally don't love a very obviously third-party interior, so I've elected to not do any of that so far. I use a phone holder that pull up Google Maps and it works fine. For short drives and just listening to music, I've got an FM transmitter that I use to just play music through the regular radio, which works great. And if I want to listen to podcasts, or if I've got phone calls, or if it's just a longer drive and I don't want to kind of listen to all the road noise, then I've got a pair of AirPods in here that I use. So you can work around it. It's not the most perfect ecosystem, and again, if you're using this car every day, maybe you would opt for the PCCM Plus system, but for me this works, and it cost me like $20 on Amazon to get an FM transmitter. So anyway, I'm headed up to Malibu. I've got about 80 miles to cover to get up there, but I will see you guys in the next clip. All right, so quick pit stop for a little outfit change, a little gas, a little stretch, about halfway up to Malibu at this point. Just got lectured at the gas station about what gas to put in my car, and the guy's asking me if it's a twin turbo. So I figure this is not somebody that I really need to listen to. But first time that's ever happened, so that was a fun experience. Anyway, about 40 more miles to go, and then we'll be ready to hit some back roads. All right, so here we are. We're on Mulholland Drive, what is one of the most historic roads in LA. Historic and notorious, I'd say, for different reasons. So historic, if you're a car guy, if you know anything about SoCal car culture, you know that Mulholland Drive is one of the most amazing scenic places to drive, and just one of the twistiest, most fun roads you can be on. And there's a section here that we're on currently called the Snake. Super tight, super technical. It was closed for a long time. I don't know why. I imagine for either safety reasons or weather reasons, or just the people who live here, because people do live here, got sick and tired of street racers running around and running amok. But I think, this is a great time to address one of the more controversial things in the car community, and that is what a lot of people call canyon etiquette. So I think what people often forget is that these canyons, these twisty roads around the city are public roads. People live on them, people commute on them. People come here as tourists because they've heard of these roads. This is not a racetrack. I think people get carried away. They think that they have the cars or the skills, and you may very well have the cars and the skills, but what you don't have is a agreement amongst all people who use these roads that we've all got the same risk tolerances as everybody else. And so I think what people just tend to push it a little hard. You'll see in some of the B-roll shots that there's some tire tread marks, that clearly cross the double solid yellow. When I was coming down this way, I saw at least 2 or 3 guys on bicycles. So being very mindful of going up that I don't scare those guys or, worse, hit them. We've had a ton of high profile accidents and deaths around the LA area in the canyons, particularly on Angeles Crest. There's been a few, unfortunately, Porsches that have gone over the ledge. Not unfortunate that they're Porsches, more unfortunate that they are giving people a sense of like, these are incredible driver's cars, but they're giving people a sense of confidence and a sense of belief in their own capabilities that maybe they shouldn't have. And long way of saying, the canyons, they're not a racetrack. In my view, they're not a place to really go more than maybe 6/10. My view is not trying to set the fastest time up and down a mountain. It's just, I'm here to just row my own gears, to just experience this car and just know that that's enough for me. That's going to put a smile on my face. If I wanted more, I could sign up for a track day. There's plenty of tracks around Southern California. This is my first time at the Snake, so it's maybe not necessarily my style of driving. It reminds me a lot of Tail of the Dragon. I went to Tail of the Dragon maybe 3 years ago. I took my Golf GTI and it was a blast. It's just so tight, twisty, and technical that you really just have to be super locked in the whole way through, and there's a lot of undulations and blind corners. And again, I'm not a professional driver, so those things sometimes make me nervous, especially when it's a public road. There's other people coming the other way. You don't know what other people are driving like, so I tend to take those pretty cautiously. I'm a big fan of a little bit wider sweepers, some kind of intermittent twisty bits that are incorporated throughout that, so that you get a good maybe downshift 1 or 2 gears and then come out the other side and put some power down. But when you put it down, you've got a little bit of visibility, and like, hey, I've got 500 feet ahead of me, like no one's coming. Cool, I can give it a little bit of the beans. But overall, I mean, the canyons are great. I think there's another road, blanking on the name, but that kind of leads up to Mulholland, and I was coming up that way and I took some videos of that too, and that was an absolute blast. So we'll see if we can find our way back. I made the mistake of not downloading the maps, offline maps up here, which is a rookie move. I should have known that I needed to do that. I've been on enough of these types of drives to know that that's super important. You need to be able to know where you're going. So how'd the car do on this tight, twisty drive? There's a ton of buzzing in this cabin. It is so noisy. And the last time I did one of these types of drives, I had my 718, which, another reason to be careful in the canyons. Back when I had my 718, I took it up Angeles Crest, and I was having an absolute blast. I came around a blind-ish corner, and I didn't see it, but there was some road debris off to the right-hand side of the lane. I hit it. I bent a rim, popped a tire, and boy, oh boy, was that a headache to get down the mountain I had a friend with me, thankfully. He drove me down the mountain. We called a tow truck. The tow truck had to go up the mountain, pick up the car, bring it down, take it to the Porsche dealer, and that was a hefty repair bill for a new rim, new tire, balanced, aligned from Porsche, because that car was relatively new at the time. So, all in all, be careful. Anyway, how did this car do? So it's super noisy. It is buzzy, buzzy, buzzy in here. Something rattles. I don't know what it is. I don't know that I care to figure it out because it's not that frequent. It's more us on, like, you know, not necessarily the most perfect tarmac that you hear it, but it's something either up here or over here. Again, I'm not super concerned. This car's 20 years old. Otherwise, it does great. The one thing that drives me nuts about this car is the rear tires. The suspension wheel tire setup is maybe a little too aggressive in the rear, and you get some rubbing on big dips, like big dips. So it's not that frequent, but when it happens, it just makes my skin crawl as a guy who likes things to be just so. But overall, the car is fabulous. Like, the balance is so good. It's different than other cars I've driven that are more maybe 50-50 weight distribution. It's a little bit, takes some getting used to as you're kind of coming out and building confidence of, like, okay, if I come around a corner and I put the power down a little bit, do I have the grip to make sure that I'm not going to, like, fishtail into the oncoming lane and all that stuff. So it definitely inspires a bunch of confidence going into corners. I think coming out of corners is where I want to make sure that, you know, I'm being safe and I'm not pushing it to a point where I'm going to lose control. So otherwise, it's absolutely lovely. It just glides through corners. It'll just tuck its nose in and just grip on the way out. It is so good. The suspension is phenomenal. The car stays pretty flat. Honestly, I bemoaned these seats in the last video. I am super impressed. They have done fantastically. I've been in this car now for 2.5 hours. Got in here at 5:30. It's almost 8 o'clock. I did 80 miles on the freeway, and I've done 20, 30, 40 minutes up here in the canyons. And not only does my back not hurt, I shouldn't jinx this, but not only does my back not hurt, but going through the tight technical corners, the long sweepers, all of it, I haven't budged, I haven't moved. I said these seats didn't do a great job of holding me in on harder drives. I might have been wrong. I am super impressed. I do wish I had a little bit more shoulder support, but I'm relatively bottom heavy. Like, most of my weight sits like normal people in my butt and below. So I'm not like a super, you know, jacked, chesty guy that I've got a bunch of weight up here to hold in place. But you do notice maybe your core is doing a little bit more work than you'd like it to. I don't know. Maybe if you're a race car driver, that matters more. But all in all, these seats are very comfortable, and I am very, very pleased. So we're stuck behind a little bit of traffic. Let's see if we can convince some people to maybe move out of the way. Although they don't seem to be. We've got a Lexus, a Chevy Blazer, and a Toyota Sienna who are just keeping on. And the other thing about these canyons, there's some etiquette to allowing cars that are obviously here for different reasons than you are to pass. There's turnouts, there's driveways, you can wave people by. Wait till you're in an area where you've got some visibility and just, you know, let them know. These guys are not interested in letting me go, which is fine. You know, I'm just here for a nice leisurely drive, but I would like to have some clean air. And the other thing is, if you're in a sports car and you are behind some of these SUVs that are cruising, honestly, behind anyone, keep a safe distance. I rented a 981 Cayman for a road in Texas called Twisted Sisters. And I was having an absolute dream of a time until a nice pickup truck ended up in front of me, kicked up a rock, and cracked the windshield. And like, I rented the car from Austin. Twisted Sisters is like 2 hours away. So I'm halfway through this 100-mile loop of my dreams. And I've now got a cracked windshield on a car that I rented. So as you can imagine, that crack got bigger and bigger and bigger. By the time I returned the car, it needed a full windshield replacement, which was not cheap. Now that I'm telling these stories on camera, I feel like I should stop doing this and just give up on this hobby, but I can't. This is just too much fun. This is just a blast. I will say this car absolutely needs a solution to this exhaust. It sounds like a weed whacker when you're low in the revs. And I'm not saying I want something that's gonna wake the whole neighborhood, because I think that would give my wife a heart attack, but something that's a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more soulful, especially in the lower revs, would be aces. I would love that. These guys are still not getting the memo. All right, well, I had to refilm that because I didn't realize that my mic wasn't on. So, technical difficulties of learning how to be a content creator. It's really fun out here. Anyway, I'm stopping to catch my breath a little bit, which now I'm out of breath because I just rambled a bunch on camera, which you guys didn't see. But you're seeing this now, which is great. So, what's great about being a car enthusiast in Southern California? So, for me, this was one of the big reasons why I stopped thinking about, or tried to stop thinking about, aspiring for cars that I sometimes feel are unattainable. Gated manual Ferraris, GT products from Porsche, things that I really, really love as a driving enthusiast, and said, hey, let me get into a car that I can really enjoy, that I can actually afford, and get a taste for what it's actually like to live out here and be a car enthusiast and do things like this. So this was a bit of a hike for me. There are obviously tons of canyons around the area, but I had a free day. I wanted to get an experience with this, and I'm super glad I did. I had a wonderful time. That was an absolute blast. It's up there with one of the coolest roads that I've had the opportunity to drive in the country, and I mentioned in some of my blabbing in the car that there's quite a few, but I think this one is really cool to be able to do something like this that's so local to me. Historically, before moving to California, I would have to drive 2 to 10 hours to find anything worth going to, or plan trips around doing things like this. And while that was great, I made amazing memories. There's something really special about driving a special road in your own car. One that you work on, one that you know super well, one that you drive all the time, one that you can trust and you know the capabilities of. It just gives you that much more confidence to be able to just say, hey, like, this is mine. I can have a blast, and I know I'm not going to put myself in trouble. And it's also really cool to see other Southern California car enthusiasts. Look at that, C43 AMG. That's aces. So clean. But it's also really cool to do that and just see other cool cars that are driving by. There was a 964 C2 that drove by. There was a 997 GT3. Southern California is fortunately or unfortunately littered with cool Porsches, but there are plenty of other cool cars around the area that you just see on the road being used by people doing things like this. And I think that is super special, super cool. I had a blast. I highly recommend, if anybody's in the area or if you have a desire to get involved, find yourself a car. It doesn't even have to be a sports car. Get in your car and go for a drive. Find a fun road, and just, it'll put a smile on your face. I guarantee it. All right, let's get some coffee because I'm tired. All right. First, please pardon the dirty garage. Second of all, I clearly forgot to film the rest of the day. I got busy and I got distracted, and I just forgot to film more after the coffee shop. So I had some more meetings. I had a couple things I had to do. And then I had the 50, 60 mile drive back home. I'm back home now. Overall, 200 miles in the 911 today. Out of the house for about 12 hours, just me in the car. Could I daily drive a 20-year-old 911? I think so. Is it ridiculous to make that claim off of one day of not heavy traffic? Yes, but I'm still going to make it. I think I could do it. And here's why. One, my body feels great. I spent not 12 hours in the car, but 12 hours with the car as really my only place to sit outside of a coffee shop. And I feel fantastic. My body feels great. I'm not stiff. I'm not achy. I don't feel like I was sitting in uncomfortable positions for a long period of time. Big win. Two, I had so much fun. Like, outside of the fact that I thought the car was going to shake itself apart on some of these LA roads, I had an absolute blast just putting around town. Yeah, the canyons were amazing, and pushing the car in any period of time when I had a chance to give it a little gas was awesome. But just putting around town, it was a great time. I had a blast. I think I could do it. Should I get a manual daily? Nah, I'm thinking about getting a manual daily. Oh God, this is a problem. All right, well, I'm going to wrap this up here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.